What is up, everyone? It's Quinn here, and in today's video I'm going to be going through my top 36 overall player rankings for this fantasy football season. Over the last few days, I've gone through my running back, wide receiver, quarterback, and tight end rankings. Now we're combining all those positions together. This video isn't going to be super in-depth about all 36 players because I've already done that in those previous videos. It's going to be more about how these positions kind of blend together and just where I'd be taking them in the first 3 rounds of your fantasy drafts. If you guys have any questions, drop them down below. Would also love to hear your feedback on where I have these guys ranked. But let's just dive right into Tier 1, and I'm going to have one player in Tier 1. It's going to be Christian McCaffrey. This year in 2024, he's my clear 101 at this point. He's just proven year after year that if he's healthy, he's going to have such an elite ceiling at the running back position. He's in a great situation once again with this 49ers offense. He's going to have the rushing efficiency. He's going to have the receiving usage. The touchdowns are definitely going to be there. So it's hard for me to consider anyone other than CMC at the 101. Now shifting into Tier 2, definitely a bigger tier. We're going to have 3 elite wide receivers and then 2 elite running backs. It's going to be CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Breece Hall, and Bijan Robinson. All 3 of these wide receivers, I think, are high upside guys. They're all in very solid offenses. CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, very similar offensive situation to last year. Jamar Chase last year wasn't great, but it was just because of the Joe Burrow injury. If Burrow's healthy, that's also a great offensive situation. And then for Breece Hall and Bijan Robinson, I think these are 2 guys who maybe haven't flashed that 20-plus point per game ceiling yet, but I definitely think that's in their wheelhouse here. They have 3-down skill sets. Both of them are going to be on improved offenses. Bijan Robinson, Arthur Smith is gone. Should be the workhorse this year. Kirk Cousins coming in for Breece Hall. Aaron Rodgers should be back. Should be a much better offense. So I also like those guys in this area. Now, Tier 3, pretty small. It's just going to be 2 wide receivers, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Justin Jefferson. I don't think these guys quite have the same ceiling as the wide receivers ahead of them. But I still think they're nice mid-round 1 picks, and I just wouldn't pick any of the guys in Tier 4 ahead of these 2. I think Justin Jefferson is the one that some people may get kind of held up on because he has had that elite ceiling. For me, it's just his offensive situation this year. I think Justin Jefferson's probably the best wide receiver in the NFL, but compared to having like Dak Prescott or Joe Burrow throwing you the ball, he has either Sam Darnold or a rookie J.J. McCarthy. So, how much he's going to be able to overcome that quarterback situation. I still have him as my wide receiver 5, but I just don't quite think he's up with some of those other wide receivers. Now, shifting into Tier 4, this is going to be late round 1, very start of round 2. We have Jahmyr Gibbs, Puka Nacua, Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown, and Jonathan Taylor. For the running backs in this tier, I think both these guys have pathways to 20-plus points per game, but I just don't think they have the same ceiling as those top 3 running backs. For Jahmyr Gibbs, it's just going to come down to his overall workload. He's not going to be fed in the same way that McCaffrey, Breece, or Bijan Robinson will. For Jonathan Taylor, I think it's his receiving usage. And then also maybe there's a question mark with the touchdowns, right? You have Anthony Richardson there. He's going to be taking a lot of work with his legs. He's a big dude, so he can definitely be vulturing touchdowns. But I think JT's efficiency is going to be great. I still think he can hit that 20-point per game number, but I just don't know if he has 22 plus in 2024. And then looking at the receivers, you have Puka Nacua coming off a mid-tier wide receiver 1 season as a rookie. Just insane production. I don't see, Wide rank him much lower than where he finished last year. You have Garrett Wilson, who's been impressive in his first 2 seasons. He's just had a terrible offense around him, both the quarterback play and the O-line. With Aaron Rodgers back, I think Garrett Wilson is going to take a massive leap this season. And then A.J. Brown, he's just been a solid, consistent mid-tier wide receiver 1 in his 2 seasons with the Eagles. So I think, late first round is a fair spot to be picking him. Now, Tier 5 is where we get kind of into a pretty large tier. It's definitely going to be wide receiver heavy with a few running backs. So it's going to be Marvin Harrison Jr., Devon Achane, Saquon Barkley, Kyron Williams, Drake London, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Chris Olave, Devontae Adams, and Nico Collins. So I do think there's a pretty big fall off after the top 8 wide receivers. I mean, you're literally going from A.J. Brown, who's been the wide receiver 8 in points per game the last couple of seasons, to a rookie who has never played an NFL snap. So there's definitely a fall off, but it's just kind of the way drafts are set up this year. I also just think that the difference between round 2 wide receivers and round 3 wide receivers aren't that huge. Typically I feel like there's more of a gap. And then I also just think on different platforms, the ADP is going to be all over the place. So I know on Underdog, Drake London is a 1-2 turn guy. On certain platforms, you could probably get Drake London in round 3. So it's a spot where I'm kind of willing to push these running backs up a little bit. I'm probably a little bit higher on guys like Achane, Kyron, Saquon probably in the same area here, but those running backs are just going to be a little bit pushed up for me because I think the difference in running back from like early round 2 to late round 3 is a lot different than early round 2 wide receiver to late round 3 wide receiver, because honestly you could end up picking from the same group of guys. If you're looking at someone in early round 2 on different platforms, they may end up being there in late round 3. So that's kind of why I have those running backs a little bit pushed up, and then this is just how I'm ordering the wide receivers as of right now. Now shifting into tier 6, this is like the very end of round 2 through the middle of round 3. I have Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne, DJ Moore, Tank Dell, Jalen Waddle, and Michael Pittman. So another solid mix here of running backs and wide receivers. I think I'm pretty in line with Derrick Henry here, a little bit higher on Etienne. I think him and Derrick Henry are very similar heading into this season. And then these are the wide receivers where I don't think there's a massive difference from tier 5, like maybe a slight fall off, but really nothing crazy. And then the final tier, tier 7, we're going to have Mike Evans, Malik Neighbors, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Sam Laporta, Travis Kelce, and Isaiah Pacheco. So the first tier where we have all 4 positions covered, you have Evans and Neighbors, who I just think are 2 more solid wide receivers. In my overall tiers, I think I had them in the same tiers like Waddle and Pittman. And then we have the first quarterbacks in this video. So Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, they're my clear top 2 quarterbacks. Both have proven that elite upside. They've also been very consistent. Josh Allen's been the quarterback 1 in points per game in 3 of the last 4 seasons. Jalen Hurts over the last 2 seasons has been the quarterback 1 and quarterback 2 in points per game. So typically, when I'm looking at drafting these guys, I think on certain platforms, some of them might go like round 2, early round 3, just based on how strong the quarterback position is this year. I personally wouldn't really want to take these guys before the middle of round 3, because if you're passing on them, you could end up getting a value on a Mahomes, a Richardson, maybe a Kyler Murray in the middle rounds. And then if you don't find a value, you can just end up like double tapping high-end QB2, where you can still end up with a solid starter week after week. So I like the upside they have, but I'm just not willing to way reach on them because I think there's so much depth at the quarterback position this year. And then we also have my first 2 tight ends here, and I honestly can't remember the last time I would have had like my tight end 1 go this low. Like typically, you're picking tight end 1 round 2. In the last few years, it's maybe been Travis Kelce in round 1, but like late round 3 seems pretty late to be going after the first tight end. I think it has to do with the combination of maybe some of the top tight ends having somewhat suspect ceilings this season, mixed in with the fact that there are a lot of guys kind of at the top there, where in previous years it was like, all right, it's Travis Kelce, or it's Kelce and Gronk, or it's Kelce and Andrews. Now there's like 4, maybe even a few more options that you like who could be in contention to finish as the top tight end. So Travis Kelce, right, he's the guy who showcased that ceiling, but he does have age concerns. There's real risk of him falling off at 34 years old. You have Sam Laporta, who was amazing as a rookie, but does he have like that Kelce, Gronk, Andrews ceiling? I don't know yet, and I don't know if he'll have it in year 2. And then you have guys like Trey McBride, Mark Andrews, where if I don't get a Sam Laporta or a Travis Kelce, I'm fine taking a discount on those guys. I have those guys, all 4 of them, in the same tier. So like I'm not going to reach way ahead of ADP on like a Sam Laporta or Travis Kelce if I can wait like a round or 2 and get someone like Trey McBride or Mark Andrews. And then I wrap up this tier with Isaiah Pacheco, who is my running back 11. I think a nice pick, late round 3. Pretty interested in him at the running back position, even though I've been out over the last couple of years. So that's going to wrap it up for my top 36. Let me know your thoughts. Who are you higher on? Who are you lower on? I think this year will be very interesting, especially like round 2, round 3, just kind of based on the wide receivers I talked about. But thank you all for stopping by. Check out all my player rankings if you haven't already. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next one.